garbage.
What's going on, guys? So I'm actually in Chicago. Not going to give you guys any hints about where I am going or who I am visiting, I guess. But I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a cribs tour again, like I did in Las Vegas. This hotel in Chicago, the one I got downtown, is pretty dope. I think the view is very reminiscent of my place in Austin. I have quite the affinity for these floor-to-ceiling windows, so let me show you guys real quick. So we got the windows that kind of stretch across this whole kind of corner spot. So as you guys could see, pretty cool hotel room. If you are going to be heading in Chicago and maybe you like this hotel as well, this is the Eurostar. It's on the Magnificent Mile. That's kind of the area where all kind of the shopping and stuff is at. I'm not obviously doing any of that kind of shopping, but where I'm going is only a few blocks down the street, so it's just kind of easy for me to stay up in this touristy, I guess, area. But you guys have been a long time subscriber to me. You guys know the first vlog, the first video I ever did on YouTube actually was in Chicago. So I'll try to do my best to spice this one up a little bit, show you guys a little bit different stuff than I normally do. I'll do my best. I have a lot kind of going on. This is a quick in and out type of a trip, but want to give you guys good content, want to do the best I can with this vlog stuff, because I know just the point and shoot educational stuff that I always do maybe can get a little bit monotonous. So this cuts it up a little bit for you guys, also cuts it up for me to kind of get a little bit more creative with storytelling. So hopefully you guys will enjoy this trip. So sit back, relax. So before I head to one spot today, I actually got to download something for you guys. So I'm going to be actually walking to a couple places before I have some meetings today. I have not told you guys where I'm going, but maybe you guys can guess from what I'm wearing. But I'll show you guys a little bit of that later, but let's walk over to where I'm heading now. So I'm outside of Amazon Go. It's a little bit loud. I don't know if you guys can hear me, but I am a retail nerd. So having the opportunity to check out one of the first Amazon Go stores, couldn't pass it up. Had to walk over here and check it out. So I downloaded the app. You guys saw that in the hotel room, but I'm actually going to be heading into the store. I'm going to be, AKA, kind of stealing something or buying something, just walking out without a cashier, kind of see how this all works, because this might be the future of retail. The funniest thing is I don't really need anything, so I'm just gonna grab a water just to see how this goes. So I walked straight out of the Amazon Go with this water. Let's see if they charge me for it. But as you guys saw from the store, just pretty simple store, kind of a convenience type of a setup, quick and go inside of urban areas. So I think it could be definitely adopted in a lot of the metro areas. It just depends on how they set it up, merchandising wise and things like that. But shopping experience was great. It was clean. Everything was, well stocked and taken care of. The shopping experience was super chill. Nobody was following me around. Nobody was worried about what I was doing. I went in there, grabbed the water, walked right out. Nobody was worried about anything. It's supposed to show up everything, like how long I was in the store, and the charges on the Amazon Go app in a little bit. So when it does show up, I'll show you guys the app so you guys can see how this process went. So I apologize for not being able to close out the Amazon Go experience by showing you guys that I did get charged for the water that I purchased, but it took a little bit of time, I think, for Amazon to properly move the item from pending over to an actual purchase. But if you guys can see on my phone, on the Amazon Go app, that I did get charged the 49 cents, technically 50 cents because they charged me 1 penny for sales tax. So I was not able to effectively steal anything from Amazon. They did catch me. I did pick up a few items, put a few items back just to see if it would track the appropriate items in my virtual cart, and it did.
So what are you guys preparing for? What is this all?
Can we just hang out? No. For the second year in a row, Josh and I are presenting at the Supply Side West conference, and they always kind of tap us to do the, state of the industry, looking ahead, how things are changing, and how to kind of innovate and grow kind of within that changing framework. So it was a lot of fun last year.
Yeah.
I think we kind of blew some minds.
Yeah.
I think the big takeaway last year, I got a lot of messages following up, is kind of something that we both agreed on and said, which was, in a world of full disclosure and transparency, a good formula is the common denominator. It gets you a seat at the table. If you're going to go out there in the market and say, my formula is better than yours, well, dude, my formula is on the side of the bottle, you can rip it off tomorrow. So that can't be what makes you special. You got to think bigger and broader. So that was kind of last year. I think this year, we're now talking a lot more about how the channels have changed, right? Just I think the business models and
channels meaning like Amazon, retail, DTC, those types of channels.
Yeah, well, I mean, everyone's asking us, oh man, this retailer's closing stores, or oh no, this is happening, and this platform's emerging, or Amazon's taking over the world, and why are you selling here? Why are you not selling here? Why is the pricing this way? What's up with these licensed flavors? So I think that there's a lot of change that obviously we incorporate it in our everyday, and I think Josh incorporates it in a lot of your content and probably a lot of what you're working with your clients. I was looking at last year's, and because you did it all in images, so Ryan helps me brand some of this stuff, but we're kind of trying to go with like a good idea, bad idea kind of vibe. Some of this, so. Like the old way of doing it, proprietary blends, new way of doing it, more transparent labels, and kind of speak to how to innovate in today's marketplace versus
Keep like a pretty pessimistic tone at the beginning to kind of set the tone for people to think like, oh shit, like what the hell's coming, and then all of a sudden we're gonna give them that, okay, yeah, this is what you used to do in the old context of how the industry used to be back in the 90s, early 2000s. But there's a bunch of opportunities with those challenges now. What can you do with those? So it's kind of like trying to hopefully get people to think about those challenges are now opportunities as long as you look at them through the right lens, I guess.
Like, old way, chocolate or vanilla, or right? New way, nostalgic, authentic, delicious. I think showing that kind of that play and kind of keeping it that I want to try to loop in an old good idea bad idea segment from Animaniacs.
Good idea. Visiting the circus. Bad idea. Having the circus visit you.
I think that could be cool, but keep it fun, keep it light. Get people engaged.
If you had a quick 1, 2, 3 punch for what you want to get across.
My number one point for what I want to get across is that your mom drinks pre-workout.
Damn!
she actually doesn't drink pre because she's got heart condition, but she drinks the aminos.
I'm not, in this case, not even meaning your mom. Yeah. It's just that the market has broadened so much that it's not just the hardcore gym goer enthusiast that's taking these products anymore. So it's a much broader marketplace, a much broader demographic. How do you appeal to still that first person who knows what's going on and looks for the the ingredients and the dosing and is researching the formulas in Google Scholar, sure, but then also appealing to the broader market. So I actually kind of like that your mom takes pre-workout. I think that's gonna be good.
Yeah. No, I think like for me, like 4 or 5 years ago, I think this story, or what I always tell people, like when I was sitting in airports, I started to see like grandmas eating Quest bars. And that was like flipped my head. It was like, okay, no longer is it this like siloed old underground way of thinking about like sports nutrition. Now it's everybody's taking it. All buyer groups are taking it. So that's a bunch of opportunity, but it also, people need to think differently to reach those people. So it's just a matter of like driving those points home that if you're thinking back to these old ways, you're gonna be a dinosaur, you're gonna die, it's not gonna happen. So how do you think differently?
Yeah, it's still new, but it's out there, high protein this, low sugar this. People are looking for those things. I had no understanding.
No, I don't even remember even looking at a label ever in my life. I was just talking to Aaron about it. It was like when my mom or dad would go shopping, it was a matter of like how much quantity was in the bag of chicken nuggets or macaroni and cheese, and then what was the price point, could we afford it for the budget, that was it. And as a kid, I never looked at it, just whatever was in front of me, I consumed. Where nowadays you have 10-year-old kids looking at things like, oh, it's too much sugar, they're freaking out about all kinds of different things. It's like the elevated thought of like what they should consume, because there's options now. Yeah. I think it's just, there wasn't options before, and plus you didn't have a supercomputer like in your hand. You weren't able to look anything up, you had no information, you just basically were told whatever those brands kind of put towards you on a TV commercial.
Like the idea of like the mainstream taking protein powder too is not even that crazy. Did you ever take like Carnation instant breakfast or that?
I used to just.
It's got like 20 grams. Yeah, that's basically a protein. It's a powder, right? It's a powder. So what's the difference between buying a protein powder and that? Except like a Ghost Whey, 130 calories, 25 grams protein, fully disclosed digestive enzymes. Boom. That's got like 20 grams of sugar and like God knows what else in it. But so like the concept of mixing a powder for nutrition has been in the mainstream for forever, but there's just no understanding of like what you're actually taking until now.
What else?
Yeah, you always had like this idea of like a third hand, where essentially you had a distributor or a retailer that was telling the story of your brand, and now you no longer have to kind of play this telephone game. You can kind of essentially be closer to the consumer, be that with your own communications, be that with utilizing like social influencers that have a really close connection with those consumers, over having like sponsored athletes that really had no connection with the consumers. They were just kind of these figures that looked the part. How do you utilize all of these resources today that are available to you as far as you can get to like one-to-one? Because I think that you're trying to scale the unscalable in a sense, because like if I tell you, Ryan, like, oh, you should eat at this restaurant, you're gonna eat at that restaurant, and then I have to keep telling people in that way. But if I go out on my social media and I tell a bunch of people that they should try this restaurant, and I have 10,000 followers, then a lot of those people are gonna do it. So it's a matter of like, how do you get as close to this one-to-one type of relationship? And brands need to figure out like, how do they do that from marketing, from a sales channel.
It's interesting how a lot of brands will correlate that with just numbers. Like, oh, this person has 7 million followers, so they're gonna have a massive impact on. But I think that as that number grows, you kind of lose trust. Some people can transcend. Christian's done an awesome job he's got a massive network, but he's also got a really great relationship with his network, which some people, as they grow, find it really hard to kind of maintain that same level of relationship you got when you got 7,000 followers or 10,000 followers on your social network, and you've got this trust. It feels like you're actually friends with this person. How do you maintain that as you scale?
Yeah.
What we found is actually, with the exception of the Christians and the Maxes of the world, who really are just friends of ours that have kind of been brought in from day one, a lot of people that are affiliated with the brand on our end are, doesn't really matter what their follower count was. It was like people that we kind of built a relationship with and got along with, and their following network has grown with the brand.
Yeah.
And there's like this organic relationship between not just us and the athlete, but them and the customer as well.
Yeah, I think natural progression is towards like more of that micro influencer, what you guys are talking about. But it's, I mean, you guys have kind of fostered like brand loyalists or like activists, where essentially like they are fans. They're fans of like what you guys do, your products or whatever, and then it just like transcends that to the point where they're kind of creating a name within the community. They're being like active in the community, and then all of a sudden you guys are giving them a shot to like kind of spray it out a little bit farther, and it's helping them kind of elevate their game. But like micro influencers, like I guess going back to like close to get to one-to-one is this idea that you want to get as kind of, you want to be friends with that person, whoever you're getting advice from or whatever. You want to feel like it's actually advice given to you, not to like a big group of people. So the idea of like micro influencing is going to be more impactful over time. Right now the problem is that it creates a lot of issues with like processes and stuff. Like you would obviously rather have 5 Christians or Maxes or something of that level than to have 50 of somebody else or whatever that has 5,000 followers, because it's harder to manage, it's harder for teams to do those types of things. But maybe it's a technological advance, maybe it's just a matter of building in right processes. But like those 5,000 people that have 5,000 followers end up probably, if they're really close with those followers, to be just as the conversion rate's probably just as high, if not more.
Higher,
yeah. So it's just a matter of, can you find those right people? And I think you guys having such a strong brand pool, you get people into the system naturally, and then it's just a matter of like targeting them, finding them, and then fostering them.
Well, it's hard to communicate. It's hard to communicate if you're not utilizing social media to the fullest extent. It's not like, an extension of how you communicate. It's nearly impossible to communicate with today's influencers.
Yeah.
What do you do? Send them an email?
Josh,
Half-
social.
Yeah, I know, but like
LinkedIn.
half of the emails that I send to our team, I don't ever get a response.
Yeah.
I gotta follow up through the DM, like through an Instagram DM, or like, send them a WhatsApp or a text message to actually get a
Ryan's
response.
literally sliding in their DMs with like here's what's coming this month.
Send you an email, but just gonna drop you a DM as well.
Well, I mean, you have to. I mean, the communication. You can't be romantic about how you communicate with people. I was excited about it for the last like 3 months of the year, last quarter.
2 years in a row, we're using the end of the year, I think, to really focus on infrastructure and making some hires. Ryan's just added a few on the marketing, brand, creative side of the business. I'm adding to the ops, logistics, fulfillment side of the business. We are opening up a warehouse facility in Las Vegas. That's going to be ready kind of Jan-Feb. So kind of going through those iterations and build outs and WMS and hiring for that in Q4. So that's kind of like a boring answer, but it's really important. But outside of that, I mean, obviously we're going to do our annual kind of big Fleece Drop. Look at Josh repping hard. We're gonna do our annual Fleece Drop and have some other fun on Black Friday. We've got the seasonal proteins coming back. We've got finally it's been one hell of a work of art to perfect, but max tuning kind of V2 and with the bring back of mango margarita in both US and global formulas, including now naturally colored, and then also strawberry daiquiri and US and global formulas as well. So that's going to be one of the first drops that we do, kind of again like globally, different formulas and stuff. Again, trying to bring it to the world. So that's going to be a fun one too. So a couple more drops, but really a lot of infrastructure, hiring, process stuff.
I think it makes sense. Like in the industry as a whole, like there's always been that slowdown that happens in Q4, where like it's just how kind of the buying behavior works. Like you have this ramp up in Q1 where people, New Year's resolutions, they're excited, they're ready to go, they're going. So everybody's getting ready for that first part of the year to kind of get the excitement going. So you have that last part of the year where people are going through the holidays. They're not really as like thinking deep about their goals, their physical goals or whatever that is. A lot of people drop off. So it's a good time for companies to not take that slowdown to kind of take it as a break, but also like think about how do we make our business better in a slower time that we actually are able to think a little bit deeper on.
Danger.